This was one of the most unhappy times of my life. Yes, I started dieting at the age of 11. And then I go to work crying. That's no good, is it? I was actually a healthy BMI, which is what I think never triggered to anybody that I was so problematic. And it was very secretive as well. I'm not the sexiest child. I can't believe I just said that sentence. Firstly, I was in the prime of diet culture. Size 0 was the not norm, but like the goal. Obviously, I was watching it as a 11-year-old and it was kind of fat shaming. Never been a twig. I've always been a chunky stump. Chunky stump. That was a horrible way of talking about yourself, Dawn. Bad. Just always been a curvy girl. I'm not even fat. Like, I'm just looking at it now and thinking, did I have a phone? No, I didn't have a phone. I had a Nokia 3310, which you could say is a phone, but it's a brick really, isn't it? Today I've brought in a tissue toilet roll just in case I start crying, because today we're talking about one of the most difficult parts of my life, which has been my eating issues, and I might touch a little bit on my body dysmorphia over this podcast episode. And I do body dysmorphia in inverted commas because I have never been diagnosed with any of these things. I just want to point that out. I, however, do think being a doctor, I can not diagnose myself, but I think I can reasonably say that I definitely had disordered eating, and whether I wouldn't necessarily call that an eating disorder, but a lot of the behaviours I will describe are very much indicative of an eating disorder. So although I've never been diagnosed, my only mental health diagnoses are anxiety and depression. So although I've never been diagnosed, because I never sought help for it, and I'll get into that a bit later, but I never sought help for it, so I've never had a diagnosis. That being said, if you have any of these symptoms or any of this rings true to you, don't hesitate in going and seeking a healthcare professional. Although I am a healthcare professional, I'm not an eating disorder expert. And I don't want this to be taken as like advice or whatever. And this is, just because it's my story doesn't mean it's how your story is going to go. Eating disorders are one of the most deadly mental health disorders in the world, and unfortunately take many lives. So with that dark introduction, I just want to say this might be quite triggering. I might be describing some concerning behaviours, but don't worry, if you're worrying about me, don't worry, because I don't partake in them anymore. And I've even got pictures. I ran around my house and dug out all of these pictures because I think it documents my issues fairly well, and it will be showing you. The pictures speak for themselves, really, I think. Now, that being said, okay, I'm going to be starting from the beginning. I start working in less than an hour, so it's concerning for everybody involved, mainly me, but I'm not that concerned really. I think I can smash it out in less than an hour, but if I then start getting upset, then I go to work crying. That's no good, is it? But look, I think I can talk about these issues without being upset about it. It ended, nearly 10 years ago. I'm nearly 29 now, and I would say my disordered eating started when I was probably about 11, to be quite honest, and it ended when I was it was longer than 10 years, sadly, on and off. It probably ended when I can't really draw a line under it, but maybe like 23, probably around then. Okay. Now, what I also want to point out is that if you see anybody who has any of these behaviours, you might want to highlight it to somebody, but probably one of the main issues is that a lot of people who lose weight, because we are in a society where weight is very much, God, is this going to be the first time I cry on my podcast? We're in a society where weight is very much, demonized if you're heavy and frowned upon if you're heavy or, curvy or whatever, or overweight, obese, blah, blah, blah. But if you're skinny, you're very much seen as like goals, okay? So one of the biggest issues is when you lose weight, you are very much complimented, you are encouraged. People don't, they're like, wow, you look so good. I literally had one of those comments the other day, and I am obviously in so much of a better mental space than I was when I was younger, so I can handle it now. But it's always in the back of my mind, like, Dawn, you don't want to go down that path again. It was not a good place. You were definitely the most unhappy you've ever been. So I'm going to talk quite candidly about my issues. Trigger warning, okay? I also don't want this to be like a, how can I get skinny? Like, no, I'm being fucking serious. This was one of the most unhappy times of my life. I was sad almost all the time. I was constantly thinking about my weight. I was constantly thinking about how I looked, and I don't want to go back there. So I don't want people to think like, this is how I get thin, okay? For also, another thing to say is that you might think I look good in these pictures compared to now, for example. Firstly, can we just point out that I was a teenager, okay? Secondly, that is your bias saying you look better because you're skinny. Thirdly, I was never underweight. That's something to put out there. Just because you're not underweight doesn't mean you don't have an eating disorder. That was a lot of double negatives. Also, I want to say, although I said the word disordered eating, I keep slipping back and just saying eating disorder. I don't mean that to be like problematic. It's just like that's the easiest way to say it. So anyway, you get it. So I'm probably gonna use those terms interchangeably. So I was never underweight. I was actually a healthy BMI, which is what I think never triggered to anybody that I was so problematic, and it was very secretive as well. Literally, behind closed doors, everything very, very secretive. And also people think, well, she's not underweight, so she can't be having issues. She can't have an eating disorder. Not the case, I'm afraid. I am somebody, and I've talked very openly about this, I'm somebody who struggles to lose weight, struggles to be slim. My body will always put on weight. It just defaults to being heavier. So for me, being as thin as I was is actually not concerning, but is a kind of flag, right? Because for somebody who's always been overweight, to be a normal weight was actually a concerning thing. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I do actually have a younger picture of me. It's on my phone. I can't find it. But this is the youngest picture I have of me. If you're listening on the podcast, by the way, you might want to go over and watch the YouTube channel, because this is going to be more of a show and tell. I don't really know what to suggest about that one. Maybe I can create a file. Anyway, you don't necessarily need to see the pictures, but I can describe them. This is me on my first day of year 7. I was 10, I think, 10 or 11. And I'm not the sexiest child. I can't believe I just said that sentence. I'm not the most good-looking child. And I feel like most people would say that about themselves in the 2000s, because bear in mind, it was about, what was it? It must have been 2000 I was 11. Oh my God, I need to work this out. Where's my phone? Can't find it. Oh, it's on charge. 2006. It was 2006. So, firstly, I was in the prime of diet culture. Diet culture was heavy. I was just finding out what anorexia was, and Supersize versus Super Skinny was on TV. And if you haven't watched that, go check it out. It's trigger warning. It's very, but back then it wasn't I think it was done with the good intentions, but obviously I was watching it as a 11-year-old, and very much, it was kind of fat shaming. It was you eat this much. I don't think it was necessarily fat shaming. It was done by a doctor, actually, Christian Jessen. And he did have some people with eating disorders on there, and he not called them out on it, but said, have you ever realized that, your eating is disordered? Maybe you should go and get that checked out. So, if there were concerning features on there, he would be you need to go and seek help for this, and maybe they weren't the best candidates to be on the show. Size 0 was not norm, but the goal for sure. Diet culture was awry, was I can't think of the word. It was booming. I would say that it still is, But I just remember, maybe it's because I was younger, but in particular, it was like, I was more impressionable. I was younger. I cared a lot about it. But I tried as a 10-year-old, an 11 and 10-year-old. That's when I started exercising, and that's when I started dieting. Yes, I started dieting at the age of 11. I'm going to tell you all the diets I tried. Not advisable. I didn't stick to any of them. Can you believe it? Okay, this is me before, like, literally my first day of school, right? Here it is. Here I am. I don't know. I'm pretty cute. I have acne, and I am in my school uniform in my back garden. I actually remember this picture getting taken. My stepdad took it. My stepdad, who was probably one of the reasons I had an eating disorder as well. So thanks so much. He's now dead, so don't worry. And yeah, I have lovely acne, and I've got my top button done up. Do I? No, it's not actually done up, but my tie is right to the top. I'm like full geek, nerd, year 7, sexy. The thing is, you see 10-year-olds nowadays, they do not look like this. They have makeup on. Makeup was not a thing. Did I have a phone? No, I didn't have a phone. I had a fucking Nokia 3310, which you could say is a phone, but it's a brick really, isn't it? Next on the list, do you know what? I think actually these pictures are before. I'm just going to show you, right? I was not huge. I was overweight. I was chunky as a child, but like I wasn't, massive. Like I would say nowadays I would be considered average size. So I've got loads of pictures of me riding my horse. I did a lot of exercise. I exercised fucking loads, I'm telling you. That's me. That's my horse Jake. He is a black and white pony. He's actually an Irish cob, I think, if you're just listening on the podcast. I've just got loads of pictures of us going over jumps. Okay, so there's one. There's another one. I did a lot of competitions, but as you can see, I'm not hugely overweight. I'm a bit chubby in that one, I would say. This one I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm overweight at all. This is actually, I'd started school by this point. So this was when I was, this is past year 7. I was, I wonder if the date's on the back of it actually. I did often write the dates on. How the fuck do I get in this? It's sort of hanging out, so I was hoping I could just slide him out. Oh no, there's no date on it. Well, there we go. Jake's looking a bit chubby in this one. That was at Pony Club Camp. Anyway, this one you can't even see because you can't even see me because there you go. 2006. I've written it on the back. Fucking cute, hey. Thursday. My writing's so disgusting. Jake at Gadbury with the Pony Club and instructor Jane. Anyway, this one's probably a better one because you can see I am a bit like chubby, but I'm not huge. I have a tiny tummy. And that's it, really. I've just always been a curvy girl. I'm not even fat. Like, I'm just looking at it now and thinking, God, if I was that size now, I'd be, like, loving life. But I think I had a bit of a chubby face. That's just children, though, isn't it? I like that picture. That one's fucking cute. Like, Jake looks fire. I look cute. I can't say I look fire. But, I just want to stroke his little face. Anyway, that's, Pony child out the way. That was mainly before everything started, okay? So it's all going well at that point. These are, okay, wow. Right, what have we got next? Oh, what are all the diets I tried when I was that age? I tried the rice diet, where, you guessed it, you only eat rice. I tried the apple diet. These were all diets that were like floating around, like Paris Hilton was all the rage at that point, 2007. Not really for much at all, but she was a size 0 for sure. Liquid diets, just eating apples. That lasted all but one apple, and that was it, and I was fucking starving. So then this goes on. Okay, sorry, I didn't fully finish that story. This goes on until I lose my period at this point. I'm 11 or 12. My mum says, Dawn, what the fuck are you doing? Pretty much. She saw me Googling anorexia. I'm not, I'm being pretty fucking honest here. She saw me Googling it. She was like, Dawn, what are you doing? Like, screamed at me. I just didn't know what it was. So I looked it up and I was like, in my head, I was like, I want to be that. I know, it's bad, isn't it? I just cringed at that. But I wanted to be fucking skinny because I was always made fun of. I was always the bigger one of my friend group. I wasn't big, but I was the biggest. And that's the issue. I was the biggest. I was small in size, but like I was always curvy. I wasn't like, most 10-year-old girls are like twigs. I was never a twig. Never. I've never been a twig. I've always been a chunky stump. That's pretty much what I've been. And chunky stump. That was a horrible way of talking about yourself, Dawn. Bad. So, yeah. I always wanted boys to like me. And I always felt like the chunky one, so I always felt like they weren't going to like me. And I looked, I had acne and, whatever. And then I think everybody, I made friends with people that had also were obsessed with their weight. So it wasn't just me. It was, it was other people as well. And people that were skinny were always like, oh, I want to get boobs. They always wanted the opposite. They wanted like boobs and hips and they wanted to like grow up, and I was like, well, I reached puberty fucking 3 years ago and now I'm the chubby one because you're all prepubescent and I'm post-pubescent and I have boobs and I look chubby. Because women, when they have a period, when they start having periods, guess what? They get fatter. Like, not in a bad way. That's not me saying they get fat. You have to have fat. You just do. Like, that's what childbearing requires. So I wasn't even skinny before. Like, I wasn't even, no fat before that. So no fat before that. So then I haven't really got any pictures because nobody had iPhones in that time. Like, nobody had pictures in school. Like, I'm sure there are some. I just don't have them. Nobody had phones, so pictures in school were not a thing. I don't know what I looked like. I remember the time, I don't remember what I looked like. And yeah, I was constantly bullied for my weight. Great. So I did start running because obviously you can't go to the gym and stuff. I did try to go to the gym, but they wouldn't let me in because I was underage. I was under 14. And so I started running. I ran with my dog. So, I actually got a picture of my dog somewhere. Wait there. Where is she? Come on, doggo. Her name was Cassie. She has now died quite a while ago now. Where is it? I'm sure I had the picture of her. Like, did I? Oh, anyway, she was a German Shepherd. I have pictures of her. They're just like, I think they're somewhere else. I don't really have the time because, like I said, I'm starting work in now 40 minutes. So I went to the doctor. I moved out of my home, out of my parental home when I was 16. God, I know. And I was then left to my own devices. This is when my disordered eating got very, very bad. This was probably at its peak, 16 to 18, and then probably 18 to 20 as well. 16 to 20. I even at one point did contact eating disorder services, and they were, because I just started therapy. I started like CBT, and they were like, look, you're going through CBT at the moment. You don't really, go through that. That can often trigger people's, thoughts. And a lot of the thoughts were, and then wait and come back and see. I didn't ever come again. The thing is, when I was 16 or 17, I went to see the doctor, my GP, and I said, I am overweight. Let's see if I've got a picture. Definitely do. No. God, these are cray to look at. I've got lots of pictures of me. Okay, that's probably when... Wow. I look so good, though. That's the problem. Everyone's going to be like, wow, you look so good. Yeah, but at what cost? Would you rather be happy? Or would you rather be happy and a bit chunkier? Or would you rather be skinny and very, very sad? Okay. So these are some... I'm not even like that big in them. No, wait there. That's at uni. Should I have prepared these before? Yes. Oh, did I forget to say that I was blonde, by the way? I think I did. It's going to be a shock to you. Bleach blonde, okay? Pre-warning. I really am trying to find the picture of me, like... me when I was a bit chunkier, but not happening. Okay, I think that might be the best we're going to get. And that is this one. I'm not even chunky. Not even a little bit. I remember feeling very self-conscious in some of these pictures. Again, there's another one. I'm in the middle, if you didn't recognise me. Wow. So, I went to the doctor at that weight. Fair enough. She was like, you haven't got any comorbidities, so we're not going to help you. I think my BMI was a bit high though. Like I think I was a bit overweight according to the scales anyway. I don't remember what I was though. I can't have been that big. And she advised me, why don't you try calorie counting? And that, unfortunately, is where it all went downhill. Because I started calorie counting and I got obsessed with it. This is why I don't count calories now. I also don't weigh myself. Like, I don't have scales in the house. And I haven't for a long time. I do, but I don't go on them and they're actually broken. So I don't want to lie to you. But I do have them, but I don't use them. And I weighed myself on them the other day, and it said I was 10 kilos lighter than I actually was. So I was like, okay, well, that's a lie. So yeah, I was advised to start calorie counting. So I got my MyFitnessPal, and at the time it was like, I think it was, it's still free now, but like there's loads of restrictions on it for the free one. So it was way more free then, like 10 years ago. I just got obsessed with it. I had this heart rate monitor as well. I would weigh myself every day. I would go to the gym at least 5, if not 6 or 7 times a day. I would exercise for 1 to 2, maybe longer, at least 2 hours. And what I would end up doing at the worst of it was, I think what happened was it slowly slid into that. Like I didn't just go like bam, bam. It was like, okay, I'm going to start calorie counting. And then I'd be like, oh my God, there's so many calories in that. Like why I'm restricting myself to 1,500 or whatever. And then it got down to 1,000. I was having 1,000 calories a day and I was exercising. And I would wear my heart rate monitor and I would only leave the gym. This was at its worst. I would only leave the gym if I'd burnt 1,000 calories. So I'd do an exercise class or maybe 2, and then I would go to the gym after and try and then I would weigh myself. So I got very obsessed with it, and my weight got down to 59 kilos. And I'm trying to find, but you can see here, even at my lightest, I am hiding behind people. I hate my body. I am the skinniest I've ever been, yet I don't want anybody to see it because I was like, no, I'm fat. Look, there's another one, me with a dog in Magaluf. I'm hiding. That dog was like trying to like jump on me, so I was sort of like, but you know, I'm hiding my body. I do have a few shots of my body. There's one, you can see slim waist, but not still, again, like not skinniest. And I remember people still calling me fat at that point. There I am again. I'm sorry to all my friends that are in these pictures. In the middle, slim waist. I wish I could have like a slideshow just on in the background. I went out a lot, so my body was on show a lot, and at this point I was a size 6, I think. That's the weight I got down. That's the size I got down to. A lot of these ones you can't see my body. I'm literally hiding it. This is my friend Holly. We've been friends since school, so a long time. Hiding my body in that one. You can't see it. Hiding my body in. I'm going to cover up the face of Sky because I'm hiding my body in that one. From Magaluf there, I'm so fucking burnt. Hiding literally all of these pictures. So it is hard to find one where you can see my body. Hiding, not really. Yeah, so this one you can see my body in that one. But again, person next to me is still thinner than me. So I was still super, super self-conscious. My legs look bloody amazing in this one, to be fair. Because I was exercising so much, I was quite muscly. And I was pretty strong, to be fair. These are all terrible pictures, as in, hiding my body in that one. Because I would never show my body. I hated it. Anyway, that's probably enough pictures. I've got fucking loads. Here's another one, hiding my body. Like, this is the theme. Hiding my body in all these pictures. I actually think this might be me, chunky. That's us holding the Olympic torch. Izzy's actually in that one. She's squatting down at the bottom. Gosh, she looks so different. Not that different, but we weren't really friends then. Anyway, no one cares. This is us as well. Look how old school these pictures look. Like, they're not even that old. Wow. Okay, so, yeah, that is... Oh, I also forgot to mention, this is when... So I was restricting my calories so much that I actually started binge eating. I then started, unfortunately, this is where the purging began, and I've got to cover it. I don't want to. I really don't, to be quite honest. It's a horrible part of the story. So you can see here, actually, this is me in, I don't know why, in Magaluf in the shower I'm not actually in the shower, I'm actually stood out of the shower. There's like 3 men in our shower and then me and my friend. My stomach is pretty flat, but I've just always held weight there. I've never had like it's flat, but I've never had like a, abs stomach. So that was always something that bothered me. Oh, here's another one. Look, do you know what? If I had that body now, I would love it. Like that's what I want to achieve, but it's a mindset. Like this is the problem with eating disorders, is it's not about achieving a certain weight. It's about being happy within your own mind, and the weight changes, but the happiness doesn't. You keep going, well, I can lose more. And that is where this dysmorphia comes in, because you look at yourself and you don't look any different. You still look fat. So the problem is you actually need to change how you think about yourself and not your weight. Like that's kind of what I'm trying to do now. I'm really, really trying to think about how I feel about my body when I look at myself in the mirror, and not be thinking about a number, not be thinking about how many calories I'm eating, not be thinking about my weight, just be thinking, how do you feel? And okay, I am getting like borderline upset. I've processed this a lot through the last 10 years, so it still makes me upset, but it's like not, I can still manage my emotions, I think. So because I hadn't changed how I was feeling about myself, this is where it slipped into this like obsessive behavior, because it was never enough. I was always chasing something that I couldn't get, because you look at other people and you compare yourself to them and you think, I'm not that, but I want to be that. But you will never be that, because you aren't that. What a fucking weird way to say that, but that's true. And the reason why I nearly forgot but actually remembered, this is my passport picture. I don't know if it's still my passport picture. Anyway, it needs updating. This is me. I look not great because I was binging and purging quite a lot, and probably 4 times a day. Like, I was keeping some down. The problem is, when you go from restricting to binge purging, you end up probably putting on weight, because you do end up eating crap like food, and then some of it does digest. So I'm really dehydrated in this picture. I can just tell by looking at myself. It's a passport picture, so you can't look great in it, but I look pretty like miserable, and I just look a bit gaunt. Like, some people might look at that and think you look fine, but I can tell that I don't. And that, I guess that's, I know what I look like. My hair's thin. I mean, I was bleaching it, duh. But I'm like down here, I'm like 18 in that. I should not be looking as, I would say I look dehydrated, but that's, that's hindsight. I can look at that. I remember looking at that anyway when I had it done and thinking, I don't look great. Like, not in terms of like, ew, I look ugly, but like, I don't look healthy. And I never got help for it. But when I started sorting out my mental health, like my depression, my anxiety, it did rear its head back up again, but like, it did start to dissipate. And one of the biggest things for me to stop thinking about my weight and stuff like that was I started training to compete. Now, at that point, I would say I still had like binge purging issues, but I was not focused so much on my weight, and I was focused more on my performance. And I think that's one way to kind of, this is not like advice on how to get over your eating disorder, but for me it helped. For me, it was great to just focus on how I was performing and how I felt, rather than a number or how I looked or a size, and in particular, like, a size was so important. Like, I was so upset about being a size 10 rather than a size 8. Like, and now I'm just trying to let it go. Now, through uni, I was competing, so I was thinking about my weight, but in a different kind of way. I was thinking more like functionally, how can I be strong? And I did put on weight because I was putting on muscle. I was only like 20% body fat or something, so it wasn't like I was, loads. And then I think I just kind of let go. I stopped COVID is where it happened, okay? COVID is where I stopped exercising because didn't we all? I put on weight really quickly and I got stretch marks on my stomach, which I'd never had before, and I'm really self-conscious of, and I really want to get over, because it's just a fucking stretch mark, Dawn. Like, get over it. Well, not one, it's like meant multiple. It feels like a failure to me. Like, that is how I see my stretch marks, is failure. Like, I know that's a horrible way to think about it, but it's really hard for me. It looks like a complete mess in here. There's pictures everywhere. You might think, I'm glad I printed these pictures off. Not only are they good for, this, but also they're good for me to look back at, because I don't have any of these anymore. God, crazy to look at. So, yeah, then I would say COVID, to be quite honest, I got kind of sad. I really hated COVID. Who didn't? I got really, not depressed, but like sad, and I kind of let go. And then when I wasn't working for like 6 months or whatever, recently, I definitely let go. I put on a lot of weight. I wasn't weighing myself, but now I'm on my weight loss journey. Again, I've lost 8 kilos. I haven't weighed myself in a long time because I've been unwell and not gone to the gym, and that's the only place I weigh myself. And I'm now in my new weight loss era. This is what I'm calling it. My new weight loss era, where I am not obsessed about calories and I will not count calories. I know what's in stuff anyway. Like, you don't need to, like, having had disordered eating and what I would call anorexic tendencies, I know how many calories are in things. Like, I can work it out. Most people with an eating disorder can. So I don't need to count calories, but I try not to think about it. And I only weigh myself when I go to the gym, which, or maximum, if I go to the gym more than once in 1 week, which hopefully I should be, then I only weigh myself once a week. And I exercise to feel good. I don't exercise for calories. I exercise for health. I exercise to feel good in my body. I am exercising to try and lose a bit of weight, yes, but I saw my weight not as a disgusting thing, although some of it was that, but I see myself more as, when I was heavier, I see it more as like, wow, I was so unhealthy, and that is not like a place where I want to be. I don't want to be unhealthy. I want to look after myself. I want to be able to run around. I want to be able to do things and not be like out of breath, like walk up the stairs. And I want to be able to eat and be happy. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I can't eat that because that will make me put on weight. Yes, there are lots of times where I think, oh, I probably shouldn't eat that, but I also don't do that in a like, you'll put on weight attitude. I think of like, I probably shouldn't eat loads of sweets because I don't want to get diabetes. Like that, I try and think about my health more. And there is an eating disorder which is about health, and it's called orthorexia. I'm well aware that is a thing, okay? But I am in a much better place. I'm not unhappy. I've worked on myself a lot, and this is kind of, I've not been in a place where I felt comfortable to talk about my eating issues because I was bigger, and because I probably wasn't over it in a mental place where I could, and also because I fear the punitive issues with admitting to these things. Like I fear the backlash. I'm like, am I gonna lose my job? And that's just my catastrophizing thinking. Like, you can't fire somebody for having an eating disorder, or I don't even have one anymore. But like, that is what I would think. I'd be like, oh my God, they're not gonna let me be a doctor. But I wanted to share my story, not because I wanted people to feel sorry for me, but because I wanted people to see that there's a way out, and there's a way of not thinking about things, and there's a way that I'm taking my weight loss journey in a different direction this time. And I just don't want people to waste their potentially 10 years of their life. Not waste, you're still living, but obsessing about their weight and how they look, when it realistically doesn't matter. Like, you think that it does, but like, how you feel and how you are and how healthy you are is really what matters, and how happy you are. But there we go. That time has passed. I can only pass on my pearls of wisdom to you. And yeah, that's my story of my disordered eating and my body dysmorphia. Anyway, weirdly, I was going to say I hope you guys enjoyed that, but like, whatever, you might not have enjoyed it, but it might have been insightful. I hope you enjoyed the story anyway, and I hope it helped you in some way listening to it. I don't want it to be like triggering, but I understand that it might have been. And I was always reluctant to seek help because I was in medical school. I was like, I don't want this to, I hid my mental health problems for a long time. And at the time that I became happy with talking about my mental health problems, I didn't really have disordered eating at that point. So I've never sought help for it, and that's not because I don't think people should. I think they should. But that's because when I sorted my mental health out, like everything kind of followed. I was able to get over it on my own somehow. It's not possible for everyone, and I get that. But I don't think I got into maybe the deep enough hole, or I don't know. I really don't know how. It just I just let it go. And I don't want that to belittle anyone else's weight loss, eating disorder issues and being like, well, I just let it go, so why can't you? But like, that was me. And I think, to be honest, I let it go because of my mental health problems improving. Like, I genuinely think that's what happened. And also, my stepdad, who basically called me a fat pig for a long time, died. So I was like, bye. Anyway, bye to you guys. Hopefully you're not dead though. Bye to you guys, and I upload every Monday and Thursdays. We discuss lots of things, really. I want to say all things positive, but this is a positive story, okay? I have recovered. And mental health and well-being. Anyway, I will see you in the next episode. Bye. And I always give you a kiss goodbye at the end because I'm nice. Bye.